kept running, tried to hide away. Can you hear? War is coming, beckoning our fate. This is the day that we stand up. This is the day we fight. We'll take our place, we won't give in. Our victory's in sight. Only a sword in our hand, but we enter the lion's den. We're not waiting for a war. We bring the war to them. We bring the war to them.
Hello, people of the internet and faithful Twitch followers. We are back with some hot Valorant action coming at you. We're coming at you with Waterloo Warriors and the Western Mustangs. And if you're watching last time, which you should have been, Waterloo Warriors made some major statements towards their position inside the season, and sent they sent the Ravens, the Carleton Ravens, kicking all the way back to the drawing board. And right now they're looking like they're going to be wanting to take some more names and make a name for themselves. And I'm here with my co-caster in crime, right over here, Niel. I believe. How are things going with you? You said it was a little chilly inside the room. That's not gonna cause any issues. You still got a hot mic, correct?
Oh yeah, and a little chilly getting started because I'm ready for some blazing hot action here. Waterloo trying to prove that this victory over Carleton wasn't a fluke, that they are here to play and such a dominant force. And on the other side, Western trying to have a bounce back week. They had a very tough 2-0 loss in their last Valorant match. It's start of the season, things are still being figured out. So I would love to see them sort of recover here and look to push themselves to the limit. So how about we pull up for you, the viewers, our two teams here, the Western Mustangs and Waterloo Warriors. So we have got Jing, Flight Risk, Max, Bouncy Bear, and Hirsch on the side of Western Mustangs. And for the Waterloo Warriors, it is Kip, Vex, Prim, Chinese Shrug, and it looks like we have got a transpositional error here with the double up. So our fifth will be Light. So those are our two teams here. Interesting to note that Waterloo Warriors, they do like to sub in players on a per map basis. They're a big fan of that 6-man roster concept. So maybe that is something that we're going to see later in the series.
Yeah, and we definitely saw it come into note for this specific starting map that we're actually going with, that being Icebox. We saw the the Waterloo Warriors manage to pull Carleton time and time again on essentially hard pushes that were stopped entirely off of the B point, I believe, by Vex solo. And right now we're getting word that Vex is out. All right. Um, moving on, it'll be figured out. You don't have to worry about the stuff behind the scenes. There's nothing going on. But Icebox, a very notable map for having some very specific, very strong hero choices being kind of put inside of there. One of them is the Viper, notorious on this map.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The lineups and sort of anchor role of Viper on the B site is very well understood by these players. I'd expect to see two in this match. Similarly, this is a map where you can see Reyna sometimes be broken out due
Right.
to how claustrophobic that A site is. There's a lot of tight angles and sort of room for the Reyna to bob and weave to just finesse in that site. And as a result, it's a very strong pick here. Taking it from the solo queue of your day-to-day matchmaking and applying it in a ranked setting is something I'd love to see because it is so fun to watch those pop off agents. So we are just now jumping into the agent selection screen here. And as we expect, there's the Reyna and there are the Vipers.
Yeah, and the Reyna pick last time didn't pop off as much as it would have liked to. We saw it have very middling responses. None of that sort of one-man Rambo capability kind of coming through. And the real difference right now is just what's coming on the Waterloo side instead of the Sage pick.
Yeah, and Sage is a pick that is often brought out on this map quite frequently. Having the revive and a full 5-man execute towards one of those bomb sites is so crucial, and it means that you just have that much more stability. Especially, it's almost certain that the spike will be planted on that A push if it's a full on execute. So then it comes down to the post plant and having a revive for that situation to sort of fix those casualties on the way in, repair your numbers is a really potent tool. So not surprised to see two of them broken out here, as now we are loading into game. Everyone is shooting each other in the head on their respective teams, and we are seeing just flat armor for most of the side of Western on that defensive side. Only the one ghost opted in for Zhao. Meanwhile, on the other side, still figuring out their economy.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that we're seeing a mirror come in here versus Waterloo, who's already kind of proven their mettle on things. I thought that there might be some idea that you don't want to just go tit for tat, but hey, if it's the strongest thing, that's what you bring up against the sort of the best right now. And here we go.
Yeah, and I think that this is a bit of that sort of professional meta coming into play. Both teams, understanding and learning what these agents can do based on professional play. But speaking of professional play, this is so cool, calm, and calculated. Western with a nice three-man push off the wall middle, but that is going to cue this response. The spike goes down immediately, and the post plant is in. It's trades across the board, but so far Western is on top. 4 versus 2 now. Heals coming out. The trades all across. Zhao just popping off here. A triple on the Reyna, the pop-off character we'd expect, but a falling headshot with the classic out of light nearly spells disaster, but Zhao is there for the trade. 4 in this opener. What a start for Western.
Yeah, that was incredibly important. Based upon where the Viper Wall sort of came in, it sort of made sense to have Western go into controlling the center space. But the expectation of 3 of them going in that hard for that was definitely catching Waterloo off guard for that sort of position. We're seeing the same sort of attacking wall, that diagonal across B coming through, and a response wall in much the same way, and we're seeing another heavy A side that's already being prepared for, so we're going to be seeing some fireworks very shortly.
Yeah, and Zhao has opted into this rifle so early. Typically, you see the SMGs in round 2 for this anti-eco, but because of the great start going for the rifle, now the trade-off is if he goes down here, if he loses that rifle and the attackers can get into the site, it can be so dangerous. All of a sudden, the spike is going down. They have a rifle in hand, but who cares about rifles? It is flight risk with the SMG popping off here. A triple already against these pistols.
Yeah, and over on the side, we're actually seeing Hirsch manage to get a kill in the 1v1s that comes out here. But the Flawless comes through. And not quite the start that Waterloo wanted to have, but it's a long game.
Yeah, and we've seen Waterloo bounce back before, right? They are no stranger to the comeback scenario. But that is just a really clean and calculated second round there out of Western, right? You don't want to be losing any bodies in that second round. It means they don't have to invest coming in here, and they have that bonus. Similarly, the spike was not planted by Waterloo, so no extra credits into their pockets. So really great start so far out of the Western Mustangs. Let's see if they can take this bonus round, because that would be a huge win for them.
Well, they're doing something very different. They're putting a lot more pressure over on the B side, willing to actually push that Viper Wall. Meanwhile, we're seeing the same kind of heavy A push coming through, and actually opting to put the Viper Wall up there instead. Jade Wall comes down to sort of block line of sight, and there's a lot of just kind of movement going on right now.
Yeah, Spike is down. The defenders are here. Only 3 of them, though. So this is a long rotation still for Western. I wonder how long they're willing to wait. So this is quite the crossfire the attackers have set up. And now both teams stacking up. This is going to get bloody. There's going to be a flurry of frags, and it starts with Toph on a double. It's followed up by Vex on a double. And just like that, Western is extinguished. That Mustang has come careening to a halt, as that is the flawless third round out of the Waterloo Warriors.
Yeah, the flawless response from this is definitely a vote of confidence right now, and you're already seeing the first ultimate coming online for Waterloo, so likely to kind of keep this sort of pressure going, and they're very much stacking up in much the same way that Carlton did, but it's more, I feel like, this sort of like early pressure is going to see what type of team you're going up against, and being able to actually stress test and see what the Western Mustangs are able to actually kind of bring to the table is going to be fundamental going forward.
Oh, absolutely. And now we're seeing Flight Risk maybe looking to do a bit of stress testing of their own here with that operator, looking for some cheeky lines of sight, maybe trying to get a pick or two in the opener. Waterloo playing very respectfully as a result. Not sure, have not seen or have any information about this operator at this point, but maybe aware that the buy could be coming out as Prim on the other side leads the creep forward, the lurk onto B. This could be a great play, allow them to beat this Viper utility. Hirsch popping theirs now as the sound cues are made, and as a result, this is almost certainly going to be a spike plant for Waterloo and a retake scenario for Western.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of movement coming back over to actually try and support. And you're seeing Waterloo just dip all the way out, possibly actually considering that to be a fake, and they might be pulling a double fake, coming right back with it.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, just trying to bait out the toxin of this Viper pick. Hirsch now does not have that same utility as before. The spike plant is going to come down, but the spray from Zam Nation does get a bit of damage forward. Nice little lineups here coming out of the Western side, showing that they are very prepared and practiced on this map. But with the spike plant coming down now and no way to deny it. But no, Flight Risk has managed to pick up one. Prim on the trade. Flight Risk with a triple in the round. And now the knives for a quad. This would be an ace 1v5 for the round win. Flight Risk dropping that operator for a phantom, dodging out on the shock dart. That is some of that post-plant utility down. Light looks for the challenge, so does Flight Risk. It is damage exchange back and forth, but the creep is the timing there. Light is dropped. It's an ace for Flight Risk, and he is flying straight to the bank with that one, taking this lead to a 3-1 for Western.
I was saying before even the game, I saw that name and I'm like, that's a big shot name. That's a name that's got to be doing stuff inside of here to like live up to that. You could just hear the calls coming, and it comes up huge in that. Like the person with the right gun swaps it over, makes sure to make everything happen, even bringing out the knives, using every tool available inside the toolbox and adapting on the fly. Man, like deciding to push, and like everything went perfect for that. And well, we're moving there and showing them that there's definitely some solo play opportunities coming out of Western right now. So it seems like they got everything going right for them, and it keeps on going.
Yeah, Zhao and Flight Risk. Look at this 1-2 punch. Flight Risk at the back with this operator holding, covering fire as Zhao just gets up in their face with that Reyna, shifting all over the place, being that superstar performer. But he has got a very bright star to live up to in Flight Risk, continuing his dominance with that operator. Now Hirsch closing out for the flawless defense. That has got to be a momentum killer on the side of Waterloo.
Yeah, flawless for flawless trades are just kind of coming through right here, and these are two teams that are showing that, like, if you give an inch, they will take an absolute mile and then keep running right now. But you have to consider that on attack we have 3 ults that are coming up there. We have the knives, we have everything from Reyna, and we also have Chinese Shrug being able to bring someone right back from the dead with only Zhao being the person to have on the other side for that. And you're already seeing knives getting tossed.
Yeah, and that's a very early kill onto the B anchor, so I think we're now going to see a very fast B play come out of Waterloo. That is that Viper down so early, and a follow-up from Toph, really making this ultimate go to work here. 2 already, unfortunately for them. That second rifle not recoverable, but with a 5 versus 3 post-plant scenario, it's hard to be upset.
Honestly, I don't know if it's, like, necessarily fair, considering Toph can, like, feel them through the ground, knows exactly where they are to pinpoint with those knives. So right now, seemingly functioning on something supernatural with these sort of capacities right now, but a very tense spike position coming up here with a little bit of push happening.
Yeah, the drone just gathering that info, but Toph on the other side is collecting heads with these knives. A quad in the round, the thrifty win. That was a force buy out of Waterloo, and they come through so clutch. Toph being a huge playmaker there, just going straight down the middle of the map, killing that B anchor so early and putting Western into a scramble. What a play out of Toph. His team better be PayPaling him for that one.
That's right. Where's your Ko-Fi account? Let's figure that one out right there. Get you some goods after this. And what's also very important is that you're seeing that there's two top fraggers going on from Western. Meanwhile, Flight Risk on the other side is the one definitely dominating the KDA. So seeing a little bit of a kind of single anchor that's going on here that if you pull the pin on that, might bring the entire team down.
Yeah, so now we will be looking for a second Western star to activate here. Bouncy Bear, the drone is spotted out and dropped early, but do they know about Zhao's position? Now the blinds come in. There is spray. There's a lot of chaos. This is a position that could be overlooked, especially when Flight Risk is dropping people left, right, and center. But all things said and done, it is a 3-for-2 trade. 2 attackers, 3 defenders. Western on the defense here, looking to stabilize, especially now with that revive being committed. It's a 3 versus 3 at the A site, and utility being thrown back and forth, but no committal movements.
Yeah, and Sovu, I believe, accidentally flubbed one of the arrows, so that's one more tool going away for them. So being able to actually pressure someone off of a corner and whatnot, going to be that little bit harder, which is going to be fundamental for a team that's kind of having resources lacked. But hey, when you got bullets and spare, might as well.
Yeah, Toph following up there with a second 2 onto Bouncy Bear means that it is a 1 versus 3 for this B anchor Hirsch. Jiggles the operator shot, means Toph has to back away. And now the poison on the corner, but the clever reposition means it is an attacker win, bringing us to a 4-3 score line now. Western feeling a bit flustered, I would imagine, off of that round, especially with how the trades went in their favor initially.
Yeah, and for like such a chaotic start to the round, it really kind of shows where these teams are, like, because you already have Waterloo having been able to come out successful inside of their other matches and whatnot. So you have the confidence of that kind of coming behind them right now with with Western Mustangs on the other side of that coin. So maybe being able to see how these kind of more scrappy rounds plays out is going to be something fundamental going forward, that if you can rely on getting your teammates back together and solidifying your sort of position, it's going to be very important. But right now, very spread out offense with already with no frag yet, but people kind of ships passing in the night right now.
Yeah, ships passing, and so too are the bullets whizzing by the head of that attacker there. Now Flight Risk, he is so eager to get aggressive on this flank with the knives, but playing it patient, knowing that there could be a lurker here. Oh, and there's the jiggle. Vex spotted now. The knives coming out, but not able to connect. Just one more left, and it goes wide. Means that this round is looking very likely for the side of Waterloo. Spike down now. Toph goes floating up and is actually dinked there, it looked like, by Zhao. So nearly taking him down. And there is the wall bang from Zam Nation, able to pick up that opener now. Does this mean Western hard commits? They do have an opportunity here. They do have some upgrade pistols, and they are looking to make it happen. That is now 3 on the round. Vex looking to trade out, though. And there it is. Zam Nation returning back. Just this Viper attacker to salvage the round in a 1 versus 3, but Zhao is not going to let it happen. Unfortunately, the revive was committed out of the side of Western there. Zam Nation opting to stick the revive there at the end, so they'll be a little sad to lose that cooldown, but at the same time, getting a thrifty win and just like some upgraded pistols, that has got to feel great.
Yeah, and again, it feels like, excuse me, again, a little bit more scrappy, but it was these two just almost 5v5, the possible lurk from Flight Risk being essentially denied due to just the danger of going up against an op, and kind of putting them on the back foot for that sort of 5v5 over at B, fundamental going forward.
Yeah, and speaking of a scrap, it is what we got here. Zhao able to pick up one onto top in response to an earlier kill out of Waterloo. Now, the double flashes coming out of Zhao, looking to reposition there, just stay alive at this site is so essential. And now the ultimate popped out of this Reyna, really looking to collect heads, and that they are doing. There's one onto Light. Not a headshot, but I think it was just the follow-up body after the initial headshot. So we'll give him the credit there. It was a headshot, right?
Yeah, and just the danger of more coming has caused the attackers to back up, reassess what's happening, go over to that well-known war zone that is the B side, and fight between those Viper walls yet again. Still, we have Rhea and Sovu for the defense, lagging us slightly behind, but again with the Viper ult and whatnot, causes problems.
Yeah, and lots of spam coming out of the defenders here, and actually is going to collect one onto Chinese Shrug, and even a follow-up onto Prim. So just like that, that sliver of hope that is this post-plant scenario has been snuffed out. Vex on just 7 points of health now, not looking likely to collect the round for Waterloo, but maybe there's a miracle available. But no, Bouncy Bear able to collect in the end, and just like that, it is a 6th round for Western.
Yeah, where there's a Rhea, there's a way, but not this time around. And it really was off of that Viper ult that slowed everything down, gave the positions so that you can actually do some blind fire to actually take out the attackers right there. That like really changed the entire tone of that round.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do have to highlight here that Hirsch, while he is playing a difficult position in being that B anchor as Viper, and, you know, as a result, the score maybe not meant to be superstar level performance, I think it is worth noting that the setup out of that defensive Viper has been basically the same every single round. The same wall, the same poison traps every single time. So I think there is a lot of potential to be exploited over there. But speaking of being exploited, Vex gets the winning headshot in the Reyna 1v1, but Bouncy Bear is there to trade. But this is looking like an inevitable spike plant for the attackers. Chinese Shrug forced off of it initially because of the poison puddle, but still the spike goes down, and now it is a 3v3. Make it a 2v2 after it's all said and done. Prim looking to get a cheeky little flank here. Bouncy Bears knows and is able to collect, and now a 1 versus 1. The Sovu versus Sovu. The recon dart goes up, the footsteps are loud, and the spike tap is in. He has no idea, though. Light is so close, thinking the Sovu was going to be farther back, playing for those recon arrows. But no, right then, right there, Light is ready to make that trade.
Yeah, and you can see what happens when you actually have the attacking team commit to A. Because you were talking about how Hirsch, over on the B side, is playing this critical anchor role of, like, solo defense, but has been fundamental in allowing his team to being able to rotate back and set up some defense and support. But meanwhile, inside of A, when you don't have the wall, when you don't have the Viper ult, when you don't have all these things, it turns into this scrappy 1v1 that kind of can go for Waterloo just as easily as the other side.
Yeah, but that anchor player still able to deliver there, gets the opener, and now the Sovu ultimate coming in to try and dissuade the spike plant. That Hunter's Fury, though, not connecting, not even a single point of damage from it. So no information, no damage from that ultimate means we might see Western burning more cooldowns here, more utility to try and snuff out these attacking players. There's the Reyna Blade going up top, the diffuse tap initially, but now this has prompted the ultimate out of Light, that responding attacker Sovu ultimate. And now, just like that, the trades, oh, they are so back and forth here, and it's a stick at a flight risk. Do they know? They're aware, and there is the op shot. The stick again, flight risk. Do they have it? No, Prim with the spray at the very end. Milliseconds the difference, and Prim will pay with their life, but that is a worthy trade. The art of the deal by Prim to secure a 5th round.
Yeah, flight risk, trying to stop that plant there on a wing and a prayer, but the spray just being too much still, all the way up at like 15, being the last person to try and put that hero play in, very critical. Now we're seeing knives on either side, plus a revive added onto the attackers, and this is just going back and forth, and it seems like we've seen this a lot inside of Icebox, where, oh, actually, they're committing the Viper Wall over to A. This probably means a lot more aggressions on the way.
Yeah, and look at this. They're just flying into the A site. Enough playing slow, enough playing for rotations. Top on top with the wall there to back them up. The spray down onto one, but it's so far it is the defenders coming out on top in a big way. Hirsch actually picking up a double all the way from that B site initially, so a great opener. Bouncy Bear spotting out that attacker and now fully blinded, but it doesn't matter when Zam Nation is able to pick up the kill. SMG, AR, it doesn't matter. Collecting heads. Now Light spotted out here. This 1v3, it would take a bit of a miracle out of Light. These 3 defenders posted up, the spike not planted. I think it's hard to see a way out of this, but maybe, just maybe, I'm not even going to finish that sentence. It's a defender win. Western getting the 7-5 on the half. So, whoa, we are halfway there. And for Waterloo, they are going to be living on a prayer here for the second half, just hoping and praying to claw it back.
Yeah, it very much, like, that felt the most all-in and aggressive of all of the attacker pushes that came in there, which I think hinged on, I believe it was Toph with the knives, pushing as aggressively as possible, even to the point of moving past the toxic wall, being able to pick up very clearly, so that, like, all of the offensive potential coming out of those daggers was taken out of the push right off the top, which I think swayed everything. If only hanging back slightly just to be able to, you know, make good on those daggers or even the threat of them, I think that could have been an entirely different round.
And now we're seeing Western stack up in middle, similar play to what they had on the defensive side with that 3-man middle push as the defenders on the pistol round. So some smart pistol plays coming out of Western, clearly a prepared team coming in with a game plan, and let's see if they can deliver on that front here in the attacking pistol round. There is a small gap in the wall, and Light looks for the spray through, not able to put any damage, but definitely aware of the attacker movements as a result. Chinese Shrug caught with his pants down, and a headshot with that classic comes through for Hirsch, and just like that, it's a 4 versus 3, but no, Light is able to return one. Zhao picking up onto Vex and able to reposition out of there. Means Light has to push forward, to creep forward with these recon darts, and is collapsed upon Hirsch with a headshot to the back of the head. The firing squad is there, and Toph with this Marshall is no match for the Ghost. The silence pistol comes through in a big way, and again Zhao with a triple on the pistol was beasting in the defensive pistol and continues the reign of terror here in the offensive.
Yeah, watching Light play, it feels so unfortunate because he throws out those recon arrows, they somehow just miss everyone, and then he just walks into like 3 people that like he had no idea could have been there. And it's just like, it's a disappointing trend to see, because he's playing so solidly as this sort of like defensive figure, like using the drones and like being able to pick people up off of the electro arrows and whatnot. It's just an unfortunate thing that I've been noticing going forward, and I'm hoping sort of figures itself out as we go.
Yeah, speaking of figuring it out, is Vex. A double now. Reyna with the pistol. Blinded up finally, so Zhao is able to take him out. But that is a nice opener. Means we've actually got a 3v3 in the post plant coming in. And this is a flank by Chinese Shrug with the shorty. Oh no, this could be so critical. But Prim actually gets one with that classic. They still don't know about Chinese Shrug, but going to be dropped there by Zhao, who then is able to reposition off the back of it. A 2 versus 1 with a sliver of health from Prim. A nice attempt, but a quad out of Zhao on the round. Continuing the dominance in the early half of our halves here on the Reyna, just being a resetting monster here. Actually, now as a result of that, taking the top of the board at 17-8.
Yeah, and this is not exactly the sort of like one kill into another kill that like we were sort of like prefacing early on with Rhea with that snowball capacity. This is more of like, it's the difficulty of getting the re-kill on the Rhea that's important. The ability to kill and then reposition for free off of that is what has been so critical to the defense and continued aggression that's been coming out of, I believe, Vex right now. I might be getting mirrored over on the wrong sides on that, but still, seeing the Rhea being able to reposition has been very fundamental for both scouting and survival, and you're seeing the solo A Rhea on defense right now up against the Sage and opting possibly to move out of the way, but no, just checking the sidelines, keeping it good. And center right now being congested.
Yeah, a lot of players stacked up here. Oh, and some awkward timing there for Zhao, just creeping forward on this lurk, but not actually able to connect. And it is Prim with that moving headshot, now blowing a lot of utility towards B, maybe thinking there was going to be a follow-up, but it is dead silent towards the B site. But the attackers slowly creeping forward, not making the smallest bit of noise. They are quiet as a mouse here, lurking forward. Going to look for a surprise spike plant off of the quietness of that lurk. Chinese Shrug gets a nice timing onto Flight Risk, and Prim with the spam forward. And Chinese Shrug backing up on it even to boot means that it is a flawless defense here. The spike was planted, a little bit of extra credits into the attacker pockets, but even still, you have got to be proud of that round if you are Waterloo.
Yeah, that was very good, and I feel like almost with the lack of information that was going on there, they preempted the plant by putting up the Viper wall going towards B, almost making it like a certainty that they were going towards there, which then prompted the heavy response that that came from the defense. I almost feel like if you let that go a little bit later, just to catch them with their guard down, even though it's such a critical tool for such a offensive push, it feels like the lack of information was far more critical going towards that.
Yeah, and now because of that lack of information in the last round, a lot of utility being blown here early to get that information. But the best information is that one of your opponents is dead. Chinese Shrug with that immediate peek into middle, collecting the scalp of the attackers. That opposing Viper drops so early means that these attackers are sort of stuck in the B site. They don't have an easy way to back out of here, and as a result, they creep forward instead. Zhao picking up the opener onto Prim means the defenders will no longer have access to that utility either. Now throwing out the blind, hoping to get some ground here in the site as Flight Risk picks up Chinese Shrug off screen. This means we're going to have a 4 versus 3 in the post plant. Some utility being thrown across from the defenders, but not going to result in much, just slowing down Light in this sort of corner position. Now, getting aggressive towards the boxes, looking for something, anything, a shoulder, just a scrap of information even to help the teammates. And there it comes in the form of a dart. Now, Zhao behind these crates, looking to be a menace, but Light is just that, picking up one. They've started the defuse. They got halfway there already, and they're not spraying, but there it is. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, the attackers have won it, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. That is, I'm just flabbergasted. It looks so good for Waterloo.
Yeah, and it's hard to really figure out exactly what went wrong off of there, with Chinese Shrug getting the pick, making the attackers feel threatened by that. It almost feels like there should have been more pressure from behind, and like the attackers now, seeing how B side has been going for them, opt to go heavy onto A. There's the wall to actually lock off almost every one of the Western Mustang players coming through.
Yeah, and now somebody going to aggress into the site. 5 strong here, looking to just, it's going to be an all-out brawl here at A. So Zhao pops the ultimate, but they don't check their corners. Toph gets a double for free as a result. Bouncy Bear is at least able to get one for the attackers, but in the blink of an eye, it has fallen to pieces. Western just being evaporated. Toph with the quad on the round. Check your corners.
Yeah, that was just the perfect timing, the perfect place. for that, and Toph just being a complete janitor, and you're seeing so many ults ready on either side. This is going to be like a lot of fireworks, and it's definitely interesting seeing the actual like division of kills going on there. You have 16, 14, 9, 9, 6 versus 18, 18, 11, 8, 8. So a little bit of a more even spread among the defense, which is like, you know, providing them more ults across the board. But right now, it's going to be on them to make that mean something.
Yeah, and this time the recon bolt comes out, so Toph's location has been revealed. Do not want a repeat of last round. Zhao gets a free ride up there, a bit of an unexpected angle onto Chinese Shrug as a result. And now one of the Viper ultimates comes out. I'm not sure if this is attack or defense, but it doesn't matter either way because it is a big green ball of goop. And now Light pressing forward, getting a nice timing there on the back end of the ultimate. Zhao got some timing off the peak, looking for something on the Prim, able to collect one and a triple in the round, but a triple is not enough. Light secures that final kill, bringing Waterloo to 8, and just like that, it's looking like a comeback.
Yeah, and with the amount that was actually spent on that heavy A push, with both the Viper wall and the ult being dropped down, having the Viper, I believe, get sprayed down within the ult, essentially nullifying it right off the top, feels oddly similar to Zhao's ult also getting completely nullified right off the drop. So it feels like with these sort of attacks that are coming in over at A, you're dealing with a lot of spray that you got to kind of consider. So it might be beneficial to actually slow down the push and sort of road roller it instead of Mustang.
Yeah, but no plans of taking it slow out of Zhao there. Aggressively peeks with the blind already on the way. Gets dropped by the operator for their troubles. And now this is looking like an inevitable clean sweep. And there it is, the flawless coming out for Waterloo. About what we expect considering it was an eco on the side of Western. You know, not a lot of rifles there, not a lot of utility or much to speak of in the round. They just get it over and done with the 5-man into A. But now, all of a sudden, a loss here on this bye could mean a tied match.
Right, and a tied match going into this sort of stretch is daunting for both of these teams that haven't seemingly quite got the fix on the other. It's going to be down to so much, and we're seeing the moves come out quick.
Toph, yeah, getting super aggressive here, and now the spray through as well doesn't actually connect on anyone, and Prim is able to collect on flight risk just as we were switching there. So despite the missed operator and shot and pick attempt out of Toph, it still is a man advantage for the defense. Now, this operator has rotated over to B, and he's caught the shoulder there, but not taken a shot. So they aren't aware of Toph's location with that sniper. Now, firing out, so all the info in the world. Hirsch on, I think, the last bullet of the spray, though, gets one blind. And as a result, it's a 3 versus 2, prompting the ultimate out of Light.
Yeah, and just to zone it out, that's not exactly what you want to see up against a 2v2 where the amount of information going towards the attackers is the more beneficial one, and just kind of having the plant going off, wall going down, and we're going to be seeing some bullets being flying.
Yeah, now a 2 versus 2 retake scenario. Prim looking to tap this spike and then back out, and Light able to collect one there as a result. But Bouncy Bear with a great headshot. Now the location is known, and Light is able to get the trade. Great shots out of Light. Ice in his veins. Icy like the ice box. This man is coming up clutch in a big way from the bottom of the board on his team to now a star performer.
Yeah, and from what I was saying earlier about the unfortunate sort of luck that Light's been sort of running through, you're seeing he's coming into a very distinct position where he's sitting behind the lines, waiting for all the information to come in, and is playing the support role that I feel like Sovu kind of like really facilitates well. And from this position is able to, you know, make something of all this information that's coming in. Be that sort of clutch player that that the team like will need from time to time, and those times have been coming, and he's been coming up real good with them.
Yeah, and he continues his reign of dominance in this round. A shock dart opener there onto the attackers means that the offensive side will not have a Sovu of their own here for this round. They've crept forward to be with a couple players here, and now the spike is in tow. They're looking to do the same sort of split that they've been returning to time after time, but it is working so well. A double, but some very aggressive moves at a flight risk, a bit of an overextension, if I may, means that all of a sudden it is a 3 versus 3 retake scenario.
Oh, big danger of the Rhea coming around the corner up against 3. If one goes down, many more could actually follow. And there's the flank actually being exposed. Doesn't actually get the kill, just buck to the brain right there.
Oh no. I don't have any words, but maybe I need them because the defenders, despite the blunder, are making it work. But the spike diffuser is killed. Bouncy Bear with that ultimate there, coming in so clutch. The Sovu from range, so good in the post plant. It means that the round win is going to come through for Western. The Thrifty to boot. It has secured them an 11th round, but oh man, Vex has got to be kicking himself.
Yeah, everything was setting up almost perfectly for that, other than the amount of players, but it really came down to the early shots on the, like, up against the attackers that didn't connect as much as you needed it to, revealing your position, and the without the surprise on their benefit, it all just kind of folded in on themselves. But right now, what's important is we have the defenders, 3 ults, up against the attacker, no ults. So if I believe the Viper, the Viper is locked and loaded with that. So being able to just deny a point is going to be huge.
Yeah, and Toph able to pick up one opener there with the operator towards this A side means a little bit of extra map control for the defenders. Let's see how they make use of it. But they're not going to be able to control any space because there's 4 attackers lined up. Zhao, again, being punished for pushing off the blind too early. This is the second time we've seen it occur. Toph with some great movement to reposition on out of there. Not able to connect on these last 2 operator shots, but at least alive for his troubles. Now Flight Risk trying to get into some cheeky little off angles for themselves, but Prim with a clinical headshot there, able to collect onto Flight Risk off the missed opportunity. Now Bouncy Bear revealed by the dart. His Chinese Shrug is going to spam, and Toph is going to collect. It is a triple on the round from Toph. So crucial for holding this A site. And it is once again us at a tied score line. Icebox never fails to deliver.
Yeah, all the way down, and the sheer lack of ults that were dropped on defense means that they're only 1 point away from actually having everyone fully loaded. Toph still sitting with that op that was totally fundamental, that basically forced the attackers to have to do a staggered offensive push at A, because the first kill came through, and that was essentially like you were knocking on the door and they opened it up and just socked you one across the jaw. It's like, you're not really going to consider that. You're like, yeah, this is someplace I want to knock again.
Yeah, and this now means that off the round loss, it is a save out of the attackers, but maybe not. Zhao actually has a rifle in hand. I don't know if this was purchased late or what. I thought it was a full save out of the attackers. But now, just like that, Western has got an opener into A, and they are getting the spike down. Now, Light has popped the ultimate and is going to collect onto Zam Nation. And that, as a result, means we have a 4 versus 4 post plant. But now, no ultimate available to that Sovu means that they don't have a tool to continue forward on this post plant. Toph charging in with the knives and is followed up by Prim. Just like that, it is just 2 attackers. One of them is the Sovu looking to shock dart, and there, combined with the poison, they're getting Prim off of that spike diffuse. Now Light looking to follow up and is going to drop to another shock dart. This has been such a critical post plant out of Western, but Toph is sticking the diffuse. They don't have a full auto gun to get off the spike, and despite the heroics of the Sovu and Viper. It is Waterloo on match point.
Yeah, and that was fundamentally down to like for such a strong spike defense coming out of the attackers, it was just like down to like I feel like Toph making those critical assessments, being like, I have the op, I need to sit back. If I'm gonna be able, like, I'm gonna be the one who's gonna ward off any sort of like extra aggression that's coming out of there, and we have the numbers to do that. Like fair, and then being the last one to actually plant on there, very important stuff. And we're seeing some cheeky wall scenarios come out here. A little bit of wall jumping.
Start getting super aggressive towards B. I think might get a nice timing for himself there, while Prim is trying to throw the toxins and does for himself. Gets one onto Toph. Now charging forward into the toxins is the... Oh, but Chinese Shrug has popped the revive on the Toph, so that pick now been neutralized. It's once again a 5 versus 5 at the B site. The Viper ultimate is down, but the info is through for Light, able to collect onto Bouncy Bear. That was the spike down for a brief moment as a result. Now, Zam Nation off the recovery, looking to plant, and does get it down. Drops for their troubles, though. So, we have a 4 versus 3, or no, excuse me, a 5 versus 3 retake scenario. Now, Toph extending the odds some more onto a 5 versus 2. Hirsch spraying through, trying to find something, anything here onto these defenders, because Flight Risk has opened up, needs to back up his team. It would need to be an ace out of Flight Risk, and that is just not possible. A strong conclusion to the map for the Waterloo Warriors, and heroics out of Western are thwarted. It goes down to the wire, but Waterloo proves they have the ice in their veins, they have the clutch factor, and they have map number 1 in this series.
Or do they? And it was again just this sort of coalescence of the plan at play right now. Toph sitting up at 26 kills, but you have Zhao, you have Flight Risk over on the other side following up right behind that, and for the most part, it was really just the combat around B that really sort of changed the stakes. Because the A, I feel like the A attacks, it was all in, and it was go go go. The attackers, I feel like, had a better chance of going there, but anytime they were thwarted, B also wasn't an option. Like when it comes down to that, and if they actually had the capacity to go to B, to shift over with just like a man down and being able to like make something happen, even with the with the Viper ults that were being dropped on top of it, it'd be a totally different story that we're going there.
Yeah, and I think that this might be a case of sort of the strat book being a little shallow out of Western. You know, they started that offensive side so strong, but then they sort of got figured out, and we saw the same sort of executes come through time after time. And Waterloo has proven that they are in this map. They are in their maps until the final round. They really have that ice in their veins, that they can go the distance and still maintain that level of play. So I think once their strats are a little bit more figured out, when they don't have things to fall back on as a result, we see these sort of comeback scenarios for Waterloo that they've done time and time again. And if you want to see if Waterloo is going to get another comeback win, then you need to stick around, because we're going to take a 5-minute break. But when we come back, we have map 2 in this series. We are going to split. Don't go anywhere, because we have got a banger on our hands.
Yeah, get yourself some Cheetos, get a drink, make yourself comfortable. We'll be back. And welcome back to the stream that y'all have been so kindly showing up for, to have this sort of action. And we're moving on from the back alley brutal brawl that is Icebox over to split now between the Western Mustangs and the Waterloo Warriors. The Waterloo Warriors managing to come out ahead over on Icebox in what I would say would be some very critical single plays that managed to carry the day.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Some players coming up in a really big way for them, sort of demonstrating once again that they do have that clutch factor. And even if it does go down to the wire, if it is a tied score at 11-11, it's going to be Waterloo coming out on top. On the side of Western, I think they've really shown some signs of life. A good stat that our behind the scenes team gave us on that break was that match was more rounds won for Western Mustangs in that one single game than their entire last series. So a really good bounce back out of Western, I think, showing some signs of life. And while it is disappointing that they aren't able to close out despite having a lead for a significant portion of the first match, I think it is going to be a confidence booster for them that, hey, we can compete with these guys. This is the team that brought down Carleton, who we got smacked by last week. Maybe it's our time to show them our stuff.
Right, and since we're actually going over to split, this is another one that has some interesting stats considering both times that these teams have went to split, they have, I believe, lost on split. No, they both actually have opted to ban split either time. So this is going to be a first time for the season for both these teams, where I'm hoping that this is going to be a sort of innovation time for them. This is going to be an innovate or die scenario where I feel like, well, you know what? Run us through this map, my co-caster.
Yeah, absolutely. So split is, it has a lot of very tight choke points. And as a result, I think we'll see a lot of more control based agents coming out. These are our two teams that we have got facing off here. We have got Jing, Flight Risk, Max, Bouncy Bear, and Hirsch on the side of the Western Mustangs. And for the Waterloo Warriors, we have Vex, Toph, Prim, Chinese Shrug, and Light coming out to play here. So these two titans of teams are going to be facing off for the first time on split, as we've mentioned. So I think that this will be a very interesting match. I think that this is very different to Icebox. Icebox plays a lot more to one sort of anchor player towards B, with then some very fast, scrappy brawls at A. But I think that Split highlights control-based agents in a much more significant manner. We have, I think we might see a Cypher come out. I wouldn't be surprised
Right.
to see, oh my
Chinese Shrug.
gosh, I'm forgetting their name, but
Chinese Shrug.
Brazilian woman with the explosives. That's who
Oh,
it is. You know who I'm talking about.
okay.
Twitch chat knows who I'm talking about.
I was more
But
focused on how Chinese Shrug actually showed up huge up against Carleton with his cipher the last time around. So I feel like that pick kind of leans into the strength of the Waterloo Warriors, where he was solo holding the A point on Ascent very consistently, and at least punishing any sort of push against it with enough deaths that it allowed his team to come through and actually clean house. So. But yeah, hey, if bombs are to be served, then that'll be an interesting one and a more explosive game. I am excited to cast.
yeah, I think we might see some Killjoy come out as well here too, right? The turrets are good for that information gathering, as well as, having that denial for these sites can be very impactful. Um,
Hmm.
Similarly, I would love to see Western continue with these creative pistol rounds. I think that seeing the mid aggression out of them in the pistol rounds on Icebox was really fun to see. I think it totally caught Waterloo with their pants down. And as a result, Western did take both pistols in a commanding fashion. So I hope to see them continue that early half dominance, because that can really accelerate you into the match and get your economy rolling, something that can put the pressure on the opposite side in a big way.
Yeah, it's interesting that they were successful early with the sort of pressure of like claiming mid and like the center of the map, but then didn't continue that through. I feel like with the forced rotations that they were kind of setting up, having a single agent being able to just sort of like sit there and then look for like picks and whatnot to really sort of abuse that sort of forced movement from being in like on the attacking side really would have shined inside of a map like Icebox. And considering Split has these sort of areas that you can actually like cut off very consistently, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing more agents that have these sort of like walling capacities and whatnot. But the Killjoy is an interesting choice because it almost forces a response Killjoy from the other team. So if you can actually catch the other team who's not entirely practiced with like running a Killjoy on their team and how to kind of like how they're going to interact with the other like the other agents, you might be able to just sort of nerf like another player. I mean, like, hey, they still have their gun and they can still shoot a dude in the head, but still, if you're not using every piece of the kit, you're not functioning in at full capacity.
Yeah, and someone that we did see use the full depth of their arsenal was Flight Risk in that first game. You know, that one, the ace clutch that they pulled off in the first map was definitely a sight to behold, getting kills with the operator, ultimate knives, and a rifle, all to secure that ace. So that is a player that really knows sort of the limits of that jet. So I would love to see a return to form here, not going to be playing the jet, instead whipping out the explosives here. So I really like to see that coming in here as well. Similarly, on the other side, we might see a Sky come out from Chinese Shrug. This has been a very potent agent throughout the course of the Valorant season so far. Just is a great all-arounder, for lack of better words. Is sort of that do-it-all agent, master of nothing, but adept at many different roles. And there is the Cypher.
Yeah, there is indeed the Cypher, but more critically, Prim bringing out the Omen at this point. So, going to be able to create some teleport shenanigans as well as some very consistent smoke coming through. Added on with the amount of information that Sky and Cypher can provide, I feel like there's a very critical sort of agent to actually choose here that can really abuse teams that aren't able to properly facilitate their rotates and can create some real havoc if allowed to do so. So, going to be very interesting coming forward.
Yeah, and I think this split is a map that can sort of enable those teleports to be so lethal because it is so wide, for lack of better words, right? Like if you want to do a long rotation from B to A, it is a mission to get over there. And as a result, the teleport can be so devastating. You know, there is these long, narrow alleyways, and you have to be very diligent in checking corners off of the teleport, sort of locking down where that player is, and as a result can be a huge detriment to the opposing team.
Yeah, definitely. And so the another like real difference is we're seeing the Viper come back. So the large walls on a 2-point map are very apparent for their strength that's coming in. We're already seeing the wall coming up from Sage, really sort of stalling out the push going towards B. And you just see they're looking at each other like, well, better start carving.
Yeah, and the wall committed so early, not only as a defensive tool, but to pick up that ultimate point for the Sage. And now the wall actually commit on the other side. So just like that, it's going to be a split into the B site. And that is one early kill for the defenders. A second brought by Bouncy Bear. Now Toph returning in turn. Vex looking for the plant. This is set to be a 3 versus 3 post plant. But there, Flight Risk picking up kills. This is insanity here. Vex now finding one onto Zhao, but the bunny off headshot from Flight Risk. Flight Risk has been so insane in these pistol rounds, coming out hot in map number 2 with a statement that Western is here to play. They will not be slowed in this series.
Yeah, and we definitely hope that kind of speed and aggression really kind of comes through. But right now, 4 ultimate points up for Flight Risk. Closest thing on the other side is Vex, which I would believe you'd want to have the ultimate points on more, considering that's the revive that's coming through. But still, being fully loaded up this early on and looking to kind of keep that pressure going is great right now.
Yeah, I got to commend them for that pistol win, but this is so far a repeat of what we saw in the first game, right? We saw that Western has no problem coming out super hot on the start of the half, right? They picked up both pistols and they continue that trend here. Some great moves out of them in the early stages, but forget that point because we have got aggression into B once more. Chinese Shrug has snuck through and picked up one, but it is traded by Bouncy Bear. Now the attackers opting to turn tail and run here, just leaving B early, hoping to bait some rotations and go on their merry way.
Yeah, you got to be looking at Omen there being like one touch away from being taken out. And what is like he's going to have to play a background role with those smokes available, and it's going to be very critical. But he's leading the charge right now, going into the vents as it were, and actually going to be able to come up, do some Sam Fisher style takedowns right there.
Yeah, Prim with a big opener onto Flight Risk, best star performer in the first pistol round. Means it's up to Zam Nation now with some lackluster weaponry to anchor this site. Throws out a random martial shot to maybe bait the attackers forward, and it has done just that. They've aggressed into the small room there as the spike is planted. So it's a 4 versus 3, 4 on the side of the attackers. Toph here on the ropes, looking to get cheeky with this marshal. Has maybe caught a timing, heard the footsteps. It's not check right. No, this has been so unlucky in terms of timing, but do they know? Now spotted out by Zam Nation, who fires a couple shots but doesn't connect. Vex is dropped by Zhao. Bouncy Bear follows up, but Toph is collecting scalps. A third on the round, and it's a thrifty out of Toph. I ain't even gonna say his team's name because that is all Toph. That is all Jet. And just like that, the Waterloo Warriors are coming up big with the thrifty.
Why be lucky when you could just be good? Because it was very fundamental when Toph came in, didn't see the initial push, was able to just sort of like have the defense shift around out of Toph's sight, was able to still maintain the position, which was so critical going forward. And information going one way doesn't mean that it's going the other. So still, neither team knew exactly where it was, but the positioning was so important, especially with them not knowing where they're going, and people are dropping like flies.
Yeah, they are flying into this B site. We have seen very fast B plays so far here. Zhao actually somehow, some way is able to pick up one in that never-ending aggression. The team ace now for the side of Waterloo, but about what we would expect on the round. You know, no investment coming in means that those rifles and SMGs are going to clean house.
Yeah, and Toph now actually has the knives up, and we've seen these knives not quite hitting their mark inside of Icebox, but possibly with these sort of like more narrow chokes and like the positioning we've been seeing Toph being able to get, maybe can make some big plays coming out of it. So going to be something important to see, and we're seeing full assault rifles coming over from the defensive side.
Yeah, here, so we've got the full buy on either side. A couple SMGs left over on a few players here and there, either due to lacking economy or just wanting to save a couple bucks, being a little spend thrifty. And now some aggression into connector here as Zhao picks up a double on the spray. The blind and headshots all there. Zam Nation now getting dinked, so force off the angle, but it doesn't matter when Zhao is just collecting scalps here. A third now in this connector position, but Chinese Shrug is able to collect in return, but the trade is very late as now the attackers down to just 2, but with so much time on the clock and with so much room to work with, they can get a little tricky here.
Yeah, and with all the defenders spread out too, this is showing how much information they really have, and it's this uncertainty about where they're going to go, how they're moving, and I really feel like sending someone forward with like your numbers advantage just to figure out that information, which side they're going to and whatnot, would be very much critical here, because now you have to respond in a staggered defense, and that's not going to help you when the person you had on B gets dropped.
Yeah, great snap by Light there. That was a very crucial kill. It means the spike is down. It means we have a 3 versus 2. The defenders still in advantage, but with Light hitting headshots like that, it's hard to think they'll win this round. In the blink of an eye, it has been swung on its head, and now Bouncy Bear in the 1 versus 2 opts to stick the revive and is able to collect onto Light. Back and forth this round has swung. The boom bot goes forward. Tiny Shrug with the triple. God, look at the snap. He gets it there. He shoulders and hits the wallbang headshot. Chinese Shrug can do no wrong here in this round. A third win for Waterloo, a demoralizing loss for Western, and they are continuing their reign of terror.
Chinese Shrug coming in huge on that. And that was all that was wild, coming off of the res and then being able to just put that cursor right onto the heads, make those hits count. Very important stuff happening here, and it really got down to the wire there because of the staggered defense, because you had to go like one at a time, come in, get the revive, make all that sort of stuff happen. So I really feel like inside of these offensive scenarios that you gotta kind of push, you gotta put a little bit of aggression on there, because when you know where everyone's at, might as well.
Yeah, and off of that last round win, it means the defenders are onto an eco here. No weaponry on their side, just a couple basic pistols and minor upgrades. Means that these rifles of Waterloo are tearing them to shreds. And Ultimate was burned out of the Cypher for this round, just to make sure it was an inevitable victory. But I think that despite the cooldown loss, you're going to be happy walking away with another round win, just sort of growing this lead, putting Western in the dirt and giving them no room to breathe.
Yeah, no, Cypher being able to drop the corpse snitch is so critical, because with the various smokes that were kind of set up, it essentially barred out the defense from going anywhere, and those smokes were one way essentially, where all the spray that was coming through was targeted. It was not blind fire, so you saw some people drop or at least get tagged enough that they felt leery of moving forward and trying to change things. And with 3 ults on either side, we're going to be seeing some major things happening, specifically the Omen having that teleport that can provide so much information is going to be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so we will be looking at Prim this round to make something happen if he does decide to commit that ultimate. No guarantees in that, but I think that if you are on the side of Western, you really need a round win here. You've kind of been getting bruised and battered. Some heroics out of the side of Waterloo have put them into this 4-1 lead. But I think if you are Western, you've been so close. It's important to not lose your mental, to not sort of lose your trust in your set pieces, in your plans, and in your gun skill, because you are competing in this match. You are a lot closer than the scoreline suggests. So just maintain that sort of momentum, maintain your set pieces and plays, and you will find success. As Bouncy Bear spotted out and sprayed down to just 40 points of health, means that they are going to have to give up a bit of room on the map here. The attackers securing more control.
Yeah, that central control is kind of throwing has been like fundamental for them going forward on the attack, and it's been paying off. But now we're seeing 2 covering that position right there, now becoming 3 over for defense, and it's making it very hard. But we're seeing Prim, I believe he teleported out of there, and he's sitting on the A spot trying to figure out whether he wants to plant or not. And there it is.
Yeah, commits the spike, and now Chinese Shrug. Oh, looks he had the triple in his eyes, but not able to connect. The rocket burned by flight risk, but is a dud. No kills on that one. Means that it is still an advantage for the defenders, but Top is trying to do something, anything about that. Jezzo diffusing. He knows. Vex comes flying in over the top, but isn't able to connect. And it goes down to the wire once again, but Western this time coming out on top. With only 1 man alive, their economy is in shambles, but you got to take the small wins.
Yeah, take what you can and plan for the future as it is, and that small win is keeping you kind of like in the running going forward. What you did see that was actually very good off of defense there going for Western was being able to cover those like tunnels there, like the corridor and whatnot, that they've been getting flanked inside the center consistently on. So you're seeing the adaptions coming through on a map that they have yet to come through. So if this is what they're continuing to do, you'll see the score change. You'll see it shift.
Yeah, it really just does come down to some of those gun round wins out of the side of Waterloo is off the back of huge heroic moments, right? So if you can continue to find that sort of form and continue to use your set pieces to the full degree of their effectiveness, then you can secure round wins if you are Western. And they're not going to be pressed once again at the B site. The round wins early going to the side of Waterloo, maybe looking to change that with the big number of players here. All 5 attackers actually stacked up in this small room.
Yeah, and you're starting to see the shift with kind of looking for it, but the sort of patience right now. Everyone's kind of set up, and now we're trying to look to get information and trying to push through.
30 seconds left.
Oh, the blinds are relentless here. Hirsch just completely zoned off. Vex able to pick up one, and Prim responding. Vex now burning the ultimate for Light. Flight Risk able to pick up a kill as a result. But through the chaos, through the aftermath of it all, it is a 2 versus 4 with the attackers favored. The spike planted. This round is looking rough for Western.
Yeah, it is looking rough. Still, you do have the Sage, who can actually put up the slows, and you have the grenades that are coming out from Flight Risk. And already body's dropping, though. It's now even, and even pushed over to the other side. 3v2 now for the defenders, and that's only 1 down.
Yeah, Toph just, I don't think has peaked this whole time, so the defenders are going to clear through this site. Surely they know, but Flight Risk has his back turned. Toph gets 2, not able to close out. Bouncy Bear is there for the final trade at the end of it all, but definitely a little close for comfort if you are Western. Maybe got to chill out the comms, get people relaxed, get people feeling themselves again, because they look nervous.
Yeah, over on, and you could see that, like, they're holding to their positions. They're functioning something akin to like turrets where it's like set it and forget it in terms of the positions rather than kind of creating this sort of fluidity. And it took a long time for everyone to kind of come over to B when there was little information to state that like A was even being pushed and whatnot. And it's this lack of information gathering that in later on in the rounds seems to be causing a great deal of issues.
Yeah, so speaking of information gathering, we are seeing Western now push a little bit out of B main there, try to get some knowledge as number 4 sees that it is all clear, but maybe a little bit late because Flight Risk has already dropped here in the middle of the map. Now looking like it is going to be an A split as a result. Bouncy Bear blinded up, but is still able to hit the headshot onto Chinese Shrug. Now jiggling back and forth here with Light. Throws over the smoke, pushing forward, but Bouncy Bear has got the shot. Now Vex moving forward, creeping up with this spike in tow on number 7. That omen means that they are likely going to be able to get into the B site, but there is still number 4 here. Zhao at the back of the site. They don't know about them yet, but Zhao is hearing these shots and relaying the information. Oh, but caught in an awkward timing. Looks like did not have the gun up and ready. Means that Vex is able to pick up that opener. And just like that, it's a 2 versus 2 post plant. And they're aggressing out a B. Oh, but there's 1. And there's 2. Bouncy Bear with the quad on the round. Some great timing to pick up the last 2. And some greater flicks even on top of it. And that is a tied game. Western back in this.
Yeah, Western has to be thanking their... thanking how critical, I believe it was their Sky, who is, Zhao, because Zhao did something super subtle, moved into the center to gather more information. And I believe from that, like, that push, was able to understand that there was 2 people inside of that, was able to relay the information, was able to come back to B and continually provide, I don't know if they're the shot caller or whatnot, but they were definitely on the comms consistently, because you could see the response that was happening here. And that sort of, like, small leadership opportunities is what's going to, like, pay complete dividends, not even just in this match, but going further in the season.
Oh, and a great flash here. Another play out of Western, finally seeing some dynamic moves at them on this defensive side, and they're rewarded with a pick onto the Omen as a result. So a great start from Western, finally showing some signs of life, getting in this match a little.
Yeah, it's innovate or die, and that's what's happening right here. You've seen what can kind of come through. We have the information gathering jellyfishes coming through, and they definitely know that there's people that are sitting inside the mid, and they gotta be considering. Because I love this actual, like, the defense right now, because you're seeing 2 in the center to gather information, 1 on the long sight line for A, and then 2 that are actually sitting back at B. This is such a good coverage that's going to be able to make you shift in between the 2 spots. Very good sort of positional play that's coming out right now.
Yeah, and now we are seeing the attackers sort of reposition, look towards this A site. They've got some early damage onto Zamnation, but now charging forward. Oh, I think he caught his edge, but actually doesn't spot him. Doesn't matter. Zamnation whiffs the shot, and as a result, it is going to be a free spike plant for the attackers. Maybe Zamnation could have gotten 1 for their troubles, but end of the day, it does not matter. What does matter is Toph has now followed up onto Zhao there. Another kill means that Flight Risk can swap out that shotgun and is immediately dropped by Vex. What a stinger there. And now Hirsch looking to secure something, anything for Western in this round. 1 or 2 kills at the minimum, but get some bad timing onto Light there, who creeps out and clips them at the end of the round. And it means that despite tying things up, Waterloo are back in control.
Yeah, and now that's a round that's going to hurt you. That feels like you did everything right, but you just got outgunned when the time came to it, which is, I feel like, something that Waterloo relies on. They rely on their players to just hit the shots, and it means that they're able to be a little bit more scrappy with their strategies, but as long as they can set up those 1v1s, which this map has been more than happy to provide them with, they're going to come out in the head. So it's going to be down to Western to be able to set up team play that we're seeing right now. A major change in place coming right now, considering they have their Killjoy and their Sky coming up behind the offensive play that's coming through here.
Yeah, and as a result, the spike is down very, very early. The attackers, in the advantage as a result. This wire even slows the flank from the defenders, but a nice blind by Zhao means they get 1. But just like that, it is the full 5 down in the blink of an eye here. About what we expect. Again, this is an eco round out of the defenders. Nothing crazy to lose in that fashion, but it sucks to be down 2 rounds again. If you're Western, this is feeling very familiar from the start of the map.
Yeah, but like, again, they're taking these rounds that are eco rounds for them, that are like they're obviously behind on what's going on, to try different things, to see what the response is from Waterloo, who has been fairly static with their sort of plans. Move in, aggress, get the shots, plant.
Yeah, and now this raise grenade looking to do some quality damage, but Vex able to reposition in the nick of time means that we'll just be out of there with a trail of smoke behind you. Now, Flight Risk, maybe looking to get aggressive with the boom bot, just collect some more info. Chinese Shrug provides it. That was a very risky peek there at a Flight Risk, sort of playing to the edge there, but is not punished for it. So now with a very aggressive position on this A site means that I think the attackers are going to be a little dissuaded, maybe just trying to bait as the spike is going middle.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing, and we're seeing this whole spread out. Plus, you got to consider that the Viper wall is going across one of their favored positions to actually come through, and they're actually forcing it all the way through from center, and we have the Sky coming through that has more than enough information, seeing a whole party coming down. But instead, they showed the numbers over to Sky, but then opted to shift over to A, who now only has 1 defender.
30 seconds.
Yeah, it was a 1-for-2 trade going in favor of the defenders there. Bouncy Bear even commits the revive onto Flight Risk there, meaning they have too strong at the site, but they are being pinched from their spawn. Prim picking up a freebie onto Bouncy Bear. Now Flight Risk in the back of the site, being floated upon and dropped by Toph. This means the spike is almost certainly going to go down for the attackers, and we'll have a 3v3 post plant once again.
Yeah, I feel like this is in the favor of Waterloo, who have consistently wanted these sort of like balanced sort of combat to come through, because they're the ones that get the shots, they're the ones that get the kills, and you're seeing it happen once again. 2v1 scenario.
Yeah, Zam Nation here, this A anchor player hoping to go big, but is silenced by Prim. The double peek comes through, and it is so effective. We're now on to the last round, and Western, their money is lacking, right? They're going to have some SMGs, they'll have some basic utility and upgraded armor, but at the end of the day, they're not at their full strength. And this is a scary place to be because, you know, at the start when things were going back and forth and you were within touching distance, a round or two, that was okay. You know, you're happy to be a little bit down at the end of the half, but going down 8-4 is a completely different beast, and it really puts the pressure on you to do something in the offense.
Yeah, I think what's like very critical is we're starting to see like that Waterloo has been taking these rounds without big ult plays, without forcing the issue. They walked in, they got the shots, they moved on. They're doing like fundamental stuff that's happening right here, and it's working for them.
But here comes the rocket, and once again, it is a whiff. Flight Risk, I think, is 0-for-2 now on that ultimate. Unfortunate on his end. Toph able to secure, but it is still a numbers advantage for Western on the defense. Hirsch on the lurk here against Light, and Light with the superior weaponry is able to get that kill. So now 2 on the side of the defense. The spike is down. Prim is teleporting out, and it is looking rough for Western.
Yeah, Prim also specifically teleporting out to the higher vantage point to be able to manage it. That also has the long sight line from Cypher supporting it. So when this firefight kicks off, it's not exactly how I expected it to work there, but you have a flanker in Toph, the type of person that you want to be the last person in there, has the critical shots coming through, and manages to avoid.
Oh, and this is such an awkward situation for Western. They played it well. They had the stack on the bomb, but it doesn't matter. Time is their biggest enemy, and Toph gets the triple to cap off the half. It is 8-4 for Waterloo here as we switch sides.
Yeah, and Toph not quite having the huge bombastic plays that you saw in Icebox, but slowly and consistently, every play, racking up those kills all the way up to 20 now, far outweighing, like being 4 ahead of Bouncy Bear on the other side, who's the top fragger, and you're seeing it's a 20-8 differential. Toph is reeling back the sort of the Jet all go no drag sort of mentality there, and is coming through with greater differential now, becoming that fixed player who's going to get those frags when they're needed and not forcing them instead.
Yeah, just being a star player, and that is what Jet is designed for, right? It is to let your stars shine, give them some mobility, give them some one-shot potential with the ultimate knives, and putting it to great work is Toph. Now, on the other side, I think it was Prim with just 2 kills on the half with that Viper, so would really love to see a turnaround from him there. You know, I know the character is designed around being a site anchor, but you need to also hit shots, but that is what Zhao is doing in spades here. 2 in the upper A section of the map means that they have now got the site secured. The spike is finally rotating in, and this is looking like a plant for Western. It's going to be a 5 versus 3 retake scenario with Waterloo in the disadvantage.
Yeah, definitely seeing that. We're seeing a major spread coming out of our defenders walking into a Viper's nest, so to speak, considering the push is coming in. And we're seeing both the defenders drop with just a Cypher by himself. Manages to get 1 hit, but gets taken out on the other side.
Yeah, Zhao with the triple in the round, and Hirsch doubling their kills from the first half. 2 in the first half and 2 in the first round of the second half. So nice to see a bit of a bounce back there from Hirsch, even if it is still just early days. Hopefully, going to inspire some confidence in this player, because I think at this stage in the game, you need every scrap of confidence you can get. It is still a tight game, it is still a close match, and Western is still continuing their dominance in pistol rounds. That is 4 in the series.
Yeah, and back to the subject of Prim, I think you're going to see him really thrive inside of this, being able to teleport to like facilitate the defenses where like when and where they're needed, rather than trying to offensively set something up and just sort of being a plant and run sort of position right now. Is what I'd hope, because we've been seeing a lot of hard time from the defense being able to rotate back and forth, so that extra mobility should do something.
Yeah, Zamnation now coming in with 2 on this anti-eco, but in the back of the site is Vex, a shorty in hand and a dream, but it does not work out. Now Hirsch picking up another 2 on the round, and Flight Risk closes out a very clean and clinical anti-eco out of the side of Western. And again, the confidence has got to be soaring. Slowly but surely, these players are racking up kills.
It's starting to make me wonder, like you start to see that the offensive strategies seem to be the ones that are like more easily set up, or like in regards to this being the ones where like they truly shine. And it might just be a mentality thing that's like, we're the ones attacking, we're the ones creating the sort of like potential scenarios that's going on here. But we're seeing a very consistent trend coming out of these games, where the ones on attack are able to then kind of creep back over time.
Yeah, and now here aggressing towards the middle of the map is Western. They are looking to make a split happen on this B site, but the kills are coming through for the defenders. Prim with the double on the round, that rifle in hand going to work. Now Bouncy Bear dropping the SMG for a rifle, and once again things crawl to a halt. But there are many defenders on B, and the attackers are all funneling through this one small section. But Prim, the crossfire, good look to collect heads, and gets a dink for his troubles. Not quite the finisher, but a nice opener. Now Light is there to follow up and is able to get 2. Chinese Shrug stealing the 3rd, but you don't care if your kill is stolen, because it is a round win.
Yo, that was some like Rainbow Six stuff that was happening right there. Cypher in behind the site blocking. No one even knows he's there, but he's on the camera just calling out to Prim exactly where everything's going. And those were the 2 exact people that you wanted to have defending there. Prim with the assault rifle, Cypher with the vision, working together in tandem. You'll love to see that. Because on the other side, you had Sage and Jet, 2 individuals that I believe, when it comes to like rotation, you're going to be able to have some solid action coming off. So with that in mind, we're seeing the first combat coming in.
Ooh, nice reposition attempt out of Toph, but Zamnation is just able to secure it. The spray is good and true. So a nice little opener there. An aggressive attempt out of Waterloo is punished early. I would have liked to see some backup there rather than just sending in the lone gunman. But as a result now, it is an A defender down. But despite that pick, Western is still opting towards B. Again, trying to do this push out of B tower. But at least have Hirsch here in the main section to make this a split instead of just a one-way push. Now, finally, they are going to commit, and the kills are coming in, but Chinese Shrug is holding strong. Now dropped by Flight Risk. Prim getting aggressive on the R side, but the spray is wild and does not connect. It means it's a 3 versus 1. Vex does have a really good position here on this flank, but will they sniff it out? Oh, Flight Risk. Oh, planting is stopped, but has spotted out Vex, who is now forced to go on a long rotation to A, and the attackers are going to beat them there.
Yeah, there definitely are, and you're seeing the sort of split that's happening right there. If you deal with the attacking Viper, then you're then going to get pinched on either side, and they're just going to back up and feel more than happy to allow the lone defender to walk onto the point and saying more power to you. We've got lines of sight where there ain't no lines of sight, and we're gonna take you out. And you're seeing the first interaction between them, first bullets coming through, and that is something that's important, that we have half HP over on the attackers right now. So the right type of spray can make something happen, but when you don't even get to see them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, really tough situation there in the 1v3. Even gets spotted out before getting much time at that A site. So a very tough situation for Vex. Not a surprise to lose it, but definitely still a disappointment. So now the defenders are onto a weak economy. You know, they have scrambled together a couple rifles here, 4 in total, but they are lacking in other spaces as a result. Just half upgraded armor for some, lacking in utility for others. But despite that, it is Waterloo looking for the force here in this round.
Yeah. All coming in on A, and that barrier actually doing so much over on the defensive side, slowing down the push and letting them know without no shadow of a doubt they're coming.
Yeah, and Toph maybe getting a little over aggressive there. No backup. I'm not sure why you would ever think of challenging that angle. Maybe just the surprise factor of it all as Zhao flies in through the heaven position, dropped with his back turned to Chinese Shrug, and Flight Risk is there for the trade. Vex, though, has swung it back in the favor of the defenders, but only for a millisecond, as now it is Prim collecting onto Bouncy Bear, but with 2 more to go and all by his lonesome, getting the good suck from Zam Nation, but still in this round. Hovering around upper here. Does have the spike down and opts to teleport lower. That's going to definitely scare the attackers, but he's still not quite in a winning position. It's the attackers. Yeah. Oh no, the timing, but the wall. Oh,
yeah.
He hears it. He hears it at least.
Down to 35 seconds. And he's got the teleport. He knows they're going over to B. But is he going to be able to actually connect with it? They also know. They heard, definitely. But being able to find that flank, there's the first hit. There's the second.
Prim, what a clutch play. And this has been Waterloo's bread and butter. If you can't beat him with the strap book, you can tear it to shreds with bullets. And Prim with the 1 versus 3 clutch makes it happen. And I think off the back of that, Western is going to be so defeated. Their mental is undoubtedly shattered here, as that felt like an inevitable win for them.
And you managed to see exactly what the Omen choice being put on Prim is meant to do. Prim is the quiet kid at the back of the class right there, and is just going to sit there, wait for everything to kind of play out, and then scope out the scenario. Managed to teleport down to then create some confusion. They weren't feeling comfortable moving on A, and then they were forced to move back to B. Guess what? He's already there.
And speaking of already there, it is the attackers getting very aggressive at A, but immediately dissuaded. Toph, again, making that aggressive peek from upper, but actually this time connecting onto 1. It means that the offense here is very scrambled around the A site, at least picking up a couple kills on the way and bringing back Flight Risk thanks to that revive. Prim now securing 1 means that we are going to have a 3 versus 4 retake with the defenders on 4. The Viper ultimate now popped to try and secure some defensive footing. Means that it's going to be a slow roll here, or is it Prim opening onto 1? Hirsch in the back of the site. Flight Risk finally connecting with the rocket for once, but Chinese Shrug has dropped Hirsch, leaving Flight Risk all alone. The man that was revived cannot do anything on the second life, and now Waterloo, they are starting to run away with this match.
Yeah, definitely. And it's again, you're seeing movement now. You're seeing them go, all right, this person has this thing covered. They have this other spot. They have this other sight line. That means I'm able to move over here. There's this adaptation, and it's great to see on the defensive side than what we've seen prior of post the person who's going to be able to like on the longest sight line and just leave them there. And it's down to people like Prim and the lovely Killjoy play that's coming out here, who are really being these sort of Oh, not the Killjoy. What am I talking about? The Sky over on that side to really be these flex players, and you're seeing Prim yet again. There's more confidence now after those kills, coming in deep and saying, "Yo, there ain't no one here," allowing the an earlier shift over from the Sky to actually set up the defense.
And there's the Astro Wall coming out and the full-on aggression of the attackers. It's a 5-man forward, but they are getting mowed down. There's an LMG in their way, and it is named Vex, holding it down here, getting two, and bunny hopping forward to pick up a Spectre. Still not spotted out. Hirsch gets tagged up, but not dropped. Oh, the spray is not good out of Vex. It means the spike is going to go down, but it is a 1 versus 2 for Bouncy Bear, and immediately dropped. There is not a shred of hope there in that round. It is number 12 for Waterloo. It is match point for Waterloo, and this game is looking all but inevitable.
Yeah, and like again, like I don't want to say I told you so, but the Prim, the Prim on defense is like running this Omen is paying complete dividends. They're able to adapt to like the sort of aggression that's happening here. It's been mainly after being rebuffed multiple times at B, focusing back over at A, which has such an open plaza to kind of being shot through, has not been benefiting them. And I feel like trying to now switch back to B with this central take that has been coming out of the defense, it's not going to benefit you. And they're dropping 3 down now in the center.
Yeah, and Top is there to respond, opening up with 1, immediately traded by Zhao at least. But the Hawk is destroyed, and so is he. Prim managing to pick that one up. Vex spraying through off of the information of a teammate's Hawk and committing the revive onto Top to ensure the round is a win. It is just Zam Nation in the 1 versus 4. Some nice bursts to open up, maybe a little bit of arrogance out of the side of Waterloo is immediately punished by Zam Nation. A quad on the round needs the ace to win it.
I agree with Chinese Shrug in this. Lol, no way. Because that was huge.
It is for not in the end a defeat nonetheless. The ace victory not there in match number 2 like it was the first, but the BM nearly being punished out of Waterloo in the end.
Absolutely.
Despite that, they are continuing their form, now 2-0 in their last 2 matches. Definitely a disappointing one for Western, especially with how close match number 1 was. But I got to give it to them. They looked good. This was definitely not an easy game for Waterloo.
What was so integral to this was a map that they have, again, not gone to. And you saw that they had a strategy in mind. Maybe not on the attack. The attack was kind of, again, just very much like, we're going to go in, we're going to try and like feel it out. But when it came to defense, when it came to kind of putting everything down onto the wire, they managed to come in big and looked more and more comfortable with each round going through, adapting consistently to all the different sort of pressure and really forcing at the round spawn the attackers to choose. They're basically just saying, like, you got to choose one of the sides, otherwise we're going to punish you.
And speaking of punishing, a stat that is calling out to me from the scoreboard here, Toph with 7 first bloods in that map. The next closest on anyone is 3 from Zhao. So just really speaks to the impact Toph was having, just finding first blood after first blood in these maps. So now, speaking of the man, the myth, the
Speak
legend,
of the devil.
we have Toph here for a post-game interview. Toph, talk to us about how it feels to continue your reign of dominance with this 2-0 today.
I don't know. It feels pretty good, man.
Yeah, nothing
Not
more
much
to say than
nothing
that.
more to say. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think we all played pretty well and just kept it collected, and yeah, just finished it out.
Yeah, we really saw a distinct tempo change when you went over to Split. This is the first time your team has actually went to Split this season. How'd you interact with like the sort of like new map? Was it just going back on all the sort of practice plays, or was it more keyed on like the confidence built off of like, hey, you're the big dog here, you're the ones with the wins, and you're gonna make it happen?
So to be quite honest, it was
I
a
like
little
honesty.
of a mess up in the bands. And so we
Oh,
forgot to ban split. So I was like, all right, I have to pull all my all the strats out of the fucking book.
you
Oh,
blew the
sorry.
dust off of it,
Sorry, yeah,
and
yeah. And yeah, I joined the out of my brain. So I was because I knew these guys don't practice split much, so I had to pull something out,
you
to keep
knew
it. Yeah.
in your bones.
Fair play. And returning to map number 1 here, Icebox. Now, this is a map that has gone down to the wire in all of the games you've played, but Waterloo proving that they do have the ice in their veins to match the map. What do you think gives your team that sort of clutch factor in those close moments?
Just being able to trust everyone, and knowing they can hit their shots at any given point. Of course, we were getting pretty. It was a slow start on Icebox. We were whiffing quite a lot, but we slowly picked it up. Slowly got more more control of ourselves, and yeah, we started hitting everything, and it just fell all into place.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this post game interview. Is there anything you want to say to the fans, to your teammates, or just something you want to let the world know?
The
Yeah,
millions and millions of fans.
yeah, no worries. Shout out to Vex, shout out to Light, shout out to all the boys on the UW team. I'm just subbing here, but I'm just I'm behind the glass, the glass of emergency. If they call me, I'll be there and I'll show up and I'll play. But
And break in
yeah,
case of emergency.
yes sir.
Yeah.
And play you did today, popping off in that final map, 7 first bloods, proving that you are a worthy addition to this team. Thank you for joining us for this post game interview.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, that is all for this first series today, but there is still more action on the line. We're going to be taking a small break, but when we come back, it's going to be the York Lions